De regreso aquí en Auto 060 y ahora vamos a tener un segmento muy interesante. We're going to switch back to English now because we're going to have a very interesting segment now. We're going to talk to Jason Fenske, and maybe his name doesn't tell you much, but when you find about it, you're going to want to know a lot more about him. How are you, Jason?
Great, Javier. How are you doing?
Thank you. So we met Jason at the Shell Pencil Grand Prix last weekend in Houston, and he was part of a media group that attended the event, not only for the races, but also for the labs where Shell and Pencil let us know a little bit more about their technology. And so, Jason, tell us why you were invited to this event.
Well, actually, I had been in contact with Shell previously. I attended the Shell Eco Marathon back in April, where there were students competing to basically build the car with the highest fuel efficiency. They wanted me to cover that, kind of explain some of the technology that goes into fuel-efficient vehicles. And then they invited me back to Houston last weekend in order to check out the Shell Technology Center.
Yeah, but they invited you because you do something pretty cool on the internet, right?
Yeah, so I have a channel called EngineeringExplained where I discuss how cars work, and I have these pretty simple videos, basically just me and a whiteboard, and I explain various components of the car and how they work, how an engine works, how a turbocharger works, anything like that. Very simple stuff, but explained in a manner, that anyone can understand.
That's great, and that's the great things about the internet that I love, that anybody, not just anybody, obviously you have a lot of knowledge about the topic and all that, but you can, as you say, you just stand up between a board and a little camera there, and there you go, and you have millions of page views on your site. So tell us about it, how this idea came about.
So I guess originally, I would explain a lot of things to my friends, and they would often say, hey, you're pretty good at explaining things. And I'd always been interested in YouTube and kind of just uploaded random stuff every now and then. So I thought that was a pretty good platform to throw it up on. And I had an internship with a previous job that I had plenty of free time. So during my free time, I'd basically research how different things work, and then I would just upload them to this channel. I'd make videos when I got home. And originally I wasn't, planning to go for basically just how cars work, but that's really primarily what I'm interested in. So that passion just kind of took over, and that's what started, there are some videos on scuba regulators or jet skis or random things like that, but recently it's pretty much just all, how cars work.
So a job where you had a lot of free time, that was pretty cool, I guess, huh? What was that?
It wasn't bad. I had to make the most of it,
What was it? You don't want to say? It's okay.
but it was an internship for a government job.
Oh, okay. So a government job where you don't have much to do. That's good.
Yeah, taxpayers' money, right?
Exactly. Well, but something good came out of that. So, you are an engineer, right? You have some background, why you are able to explain this.
Yeah, so I graduated in 2012 with a degree in mechanical engineering, and I kind of went into mechanical engineering thinking that I would learn all about how cars work, and I got a good background into basically the physics behind it, but not really more detailed of how they actually work. It was more of just the math behind it. So this basically just researched on my own and, tried to make a log of everything that I was learning and then publish it all online.
Yeah. So on your YouTube channel, again, it's on YouTube, EngineeringExplained. Just Google it and you'll find it for our audience. So I'm on it right now, and your most popular one, it's the Formula One engine explained. That's pretty cool. So can you give us a little bit? I don't know. This video in your site is about 8 minutes, but give us a short version of it if you can.
Sure. So this video became very popular, and it's kind of unexpected. You throw something up on YouTube, you don't know what's going to be popular, what's not. But this one in particular, basically, I was just kind of describing one of the main points of an F1 engine versus the traditional engine. Most engines have a camshaft, and they have springs for the valves that open and close the intake and the exhaust, allowing air to enter and escape the piston cylinder of the engine. So a main difference between the engine in your car and the engine in a F1 car is they use pneumatic valves. And so what this means is basically the engine in your car has a spring that the camshaft basically opens and closes, and that spring is is what's pressing the valve closed when the cam comes off of it. Now, this is a mechanical spring, so it's actually a coiled piece of metal in your car versus in F1 what they do is basically it's a pneumatic spring, and so it's all air pressure. So
Yeah.
this closed off piston cylinder that's just full of air, and what the cam does is it compresses the air rather than a metal spring, and so all of that actuation of the valves is actually done using an air spring rather than a mechanical spring. And so I guess that was just a popular thing and kind of interesting for everyone to learn about. So that's one of the main points of that video.
And this video talks about the new engines, the new small engines with the turbos, or the old ones from last year?
Yes, so I have made a newer video which doesn't have quite as many views, but yeah, on the 2014 engines where they changed from the 2.4 V8 to the 1.6 V6, and those have energy recovery systems. So actually, the turbocharger and the crankshaft both have electric motors connected to them, where they can take the energy that goes into those electric motors and store it in a battery, or take the energy from the battery and spool up the turbocharger or spool up the engine, so you can get an extra benefit and some energy recovery and braking, which you weren't doing previously. Well, they did have KERS, but it's a bit more powerful system this year than previous years.
Yeah, and since we were at the Shell Pencil IndyCar race last weekend in Houston, and they one of the things that they told us about was this new oil that they create from natural gas, and actually it's the same oil that you and me and everybody else can buy in the store, and then they use it for the race car. That's a pretty amazing technology and something that you probably don't see too often in both production cars and competitive cars, right?
Yes, I would agree completely. I mean, all of these teams, I believe in Formula One, they're all using their own proprietary blends, whereas in IndyCar, you have to use something off the shelf. And it's pretty incredible to see that, the same thing that I can go into an auto parts store and buy and put in my car is actually being used in IndyCar. So yeah, it kind of speaks for the quality of the product, for sure.
Yeah, so Jason, tell us something else about, like, for example, what do you think is the most basic thing that most people don't know about their cars and why they should know about it? Like, for example, I think gas mileage is like very important. It's actually a very high in the list of factors that people why buy a car. So one of those things, what would you say that people don't know about their cars that they should know?
I would say one very basic thing, I guess, when you're just thinking about your car, all it really is an air pump. So it's trying to pull air in and push air out. And in the middle of that process, you're spraying in fuel and igniting it. And that's how your car's getting power. So basically, anytime you have a problem with your car, it really comes down to like one of very few things. You need air, you need fuel, you need compression, and you need a spark. And those four things are really the four main things that you need in order for that engine to run. So if you're having a problem, it likely comes down to one of those things. You're not getting air, you're not getting compression, you're not getting a spark, or you're not getting fuel. If you can have all of those four things and have it all properly timed, then your engine's going to run, versus if your engine isn't running, probably one of those things isn't working correctly.
And people will know about that because the check engine light will light up.
Correct. I mean, something like that could occur. You'll hear an audible difference in your car where it doesn't always sound how it usually sounds. It may not start up. If you're cranking your car and it's not starting, it's probably one of those four things that is causing that problem. So you can kind of go down the path of, okay, is it this or is it this, like that.
And obviously, a lot of people ignore that light when it comes up. What will be your suggestion for when people see it? What should they do? I mean,
well, I think one of the great things is that most automotive parts stores will scan your car for free. So if you can actually get it somewhere or tow it somewhere and get them to read it, they will read it for free. And a lot of them will have knowledge to tell you, what the code means. What I've done is I've bought a scanner, and you can buy OBD2 scanners online for about $20. And so anytime you get a check engine light, I have my own. I'll just plug in my $20 scanner. It'll tell me what the code is. It'll be a 4-digit number, and you can punch that code online and find out exactly what the code means, and then find out suggestions for how to fix that code.
So you mean I don't have to be an engineer to fix my car?
Absolutely Absolutely not. No, you do not. But, I don't want to say that anyone can just go in and start tearing things apart. It's good to get an education on the material you're trying to fix, but you can definitely learn about what's wrong with it with a simple $20 tool. You're not going to be an expert instantly, but there's definitely places where you can go to learn about, what does this code mean and what are the possible causes of this problem.
Yeah, and that's great information because when you go to some mechanics, I'm not going to say all of them, but when you go to some, they will probably tell you something else, usually more expensive than what usually is, right?
Right, exactly. And it's good to be able to show up informed.
Yeah. So can you tell us, we have like less than a minute left. What's your next project? What's your next video? What are you working on?
Oh, gosh, I've got a lot of stuff I'm working on. So, of course, I just attended the Shell and Pennzoil Grand Prix, so I'm going to put together some videos from that. I also today just published a video on my Integra. So I have a 1999 Acura Integra, and what I'd like to do is kind of just turn it into a project car where my viewers basically tell me what they want me to do to it, and then, I'll take these different suggestions and ideas and have this learning tool for my audience. Excellent.
Jason Fenske from EngineeringExplained on YouTube. Thank you very much for your time. And is there a website also where we can find more about you?
Yeah, youtube.com/EngineeringExplained and howdoesthecarwork.com. Thank you so much, Javier, for having me on.
Thank you, and talk to you soon.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Este programa fue una producción de National Latino Broadcasting.